So you think now it's time to find a coach or a trainer. Well, today what we're going to do is I'm going to show you some key variables that trainer or coach should be asking you before you drop hundreds or thousands of dollars. The first thing that a trainer or a coach should be asking you is your background and your history. One of those big things is previous injuries. If you have a knee problem, a hip problem, back surgery, spinal fusions, all these other things could modify drastically what your training protocol should look like. The next thing is your training age. Have you just started working out in the last week or two, or maybe even the last 6 months? Or have you played professional football? Those things are going to be a huge factor in how hard you can start to work out. Remember, it's not what you can do, it's what you can recover from. The next big thing is blood work. A good strength coach or a good trainer should know a little bit about blood work, looking at testosterone levels, cholesterol, triglycerides. Point is that the blood is giving us a key indicator of what your diets look like long term and how able you are to make performance gains. Being unhealthy and trying to make performance gains at the same time is a bad and slippery road. The next thing that a good trainer or a coach should be asking you is your stressors. So if you have a pretty sit down, easy, even keeled job that's not too stressful, that's going to be a huge indicator of how hard or how easy your workouts need to start. If you work 12 hours at a construction job and you're lifting heavy objects all day, your ability to train is not going to be nearly as good as somebody that just has more of a lax style job. So a good trainer is going to be able to take that information and start to make a better program for you. The next thing is family. If you're dealing with a single guy with no kids, no real big stressors at home, not dealing with a crying baby in the middle of the night, he's going to also be able to train way harder than a person that has 3 kids, 2 twins. So the key is that all of these things start to create a roadmap to develop the optimal program for your situation at this time. The third big thing is nutrition and sleep. If a coach isn't asking you how much you're sleeping a night or what your nutrition profile looks like, this could be a disastrous move for not only your training, but your future health. So what we do here at the gym is first figure out what time they go to bed, what time they get up. Then we start to modify nutrition habits. What we find is, and a nice tip for all of you guys out there, most people that have a weight problem or have a strength deficit, i.e. have a hard time getting stronger, I find are constantly missing breakfast or eating the wrong type of breakfast, i.e. very high carbohydrates and very low proteins and fats. So if you bump your proteins and fats up throughout the day, you're going to find that your strength gains and your body composition will change dramatically. Finally, the last thing is the goal, which everybody thinks is the first one. Why is it last? Well, let me tell you. The reason that your goal is last is because having weaknesses, nutrition, all of those things, you can have the biggest goal in the world. You have to have everything in place before your goal is even attainable. So what we find is that people try to start specialized physical preparedness, right? I want the world record in a squat. I want a 600-pound bench press. But what you find is that they don't have a big enough generalized physical preparedness base to reach the top of this pyramid. You can only build your pyramid peak as tall as your base and as wide as your base. So the point is that without nutrition, without sleep, without pre-existing things, your body is not going to be able to have the right fuel or the right recovery to develop as it should. I always say that if you're going to plant a seed and want to grow a flower, don't do it in the desert, do it in the jungle. Or do it in a greenhouse. Don't do it in the desert, do it in a greenhouse. So make sure that your goal is included in your training, but don't think that the goal should be the end-all be-all of exactly how your training protocol should be laid out. You have to generally be good before you can specifically be good. And let's say that you have a really good coach now, and he's been pointing out all of these things before your goal. You probably want to keep him because he's worth his weight in gold. But in general, what I find is that most people are starting to use coaches that don't think about any of those other 3 or 4 factors. They think about your goal and they write a very generalized workout to achieve that goal without looking at all of these different factors that are included in making sure that you progress. One other major factor that kind of fits along the line with the goal, but also has a generalized twist to it, is that you have to remember that weaknesses dictate training. If an online coach or a regular personal trainer is not taking you through a movement assessment, i.e. watching you squat, watching you deadlift, watching you bench press, and then collecting a big vast library of where your weaknesses and deficiencies are to develop your training, probably not a good situation for you. Just remember that the generalized physical preparedness is all developed thought pattern wise by where your weaknesses are. You have to dictate your training on those weaknesses, and remember that the quickest way to reach a goal is to fix the weakest link. So in this short video, we went over all the different factors in order for you to find a good coach, find a good trainer, and make sure that not only your goals, which should not be the first thing you think of, all the other factors are in play and that your training philosophy is going the right way. So remember, that covers nutrition, sleep, stressors, injuries, and what I think one of the most important is blood work. Now, that is going to develop into having a high GPP base and giving you a massive SPP peak. But remember that all of that's developed towards weaknesses. So if you like this, then check out the warm-up videos, which we attack the weaknesses. Check out and make sure that you know the methods of training, max effort, dynamic effort, and repetition, and ask yourself and find yourself wondering if some of those areas are deficient in your training.